Every video game company has its infamous thing. You know what I'm talking about. For Rockstar, it's online modes and how they've changed the way that Rockstar runs as a whole, for better or for worse, but they are incomprehensibly popular, and part of the reason why Red Dead Redemption 2 was and Grand Theft Auto 6 will be so good. For Nintendo, it's the constant urge to do something different, which has proven to be very successful, but also... No. And for Bethesda, it's... There are over 13 versions of Skyrim that you can play right now, and that's because people, me, will buy Skyrim 13 times. But it's not like Skyrim can be sold this many times for no good reason. It's literal art, from the landscape to the music to the variations and how quests can play out, and the DLC that released in 2013 makes it all the more replayable. So when Bethesda announced another DLC to celebrate the 10-year anniversary in 2021, it would probably be kind of good, right? No, man. Skyrim Anniversary Edition is not only a cash grab, but adds content so watered down. It not only tarnishes the incredible base game, but also straight up ruins Skyrim's foundational developmental pacing, and is, in my opinion, possibly the worst DLC to ever release in the history of gaming. I have across PlayStation 3 Skyrim, OG PC Skyrim, Skyrim Special Edition Skyrim, Skyrim VR, and Switch Skyrim, accumulated well over 1,000 Skyrims. And keep in mind, aside from VR, because you kind of have to mod the game for it to work like a VR title, I've played most of that time entirely without mods, probably 1,000 hours or so entirely without mods. So when I, an enjoyer of Bethesda content, and that Bethesda content, thinks that a Bethesda approved upgrade is horrible, it's probably not that bad, huh? To kick things off, let's look at a quest from the vanilla Skyrim experience, just an unimportant throwaway one of the 270 that's offered in the base game without the 3 DLC. In My Time of Need begins when 2 Alik'r warriors are searching for a Redguard woman who committed a major crime in Hammerfell, their home country. You can find the woman in the Bannered Mare Tavern in Whiterun, and from here, there's multiple things you can do. You can tell the Redguard warriors about her location and have her captured by Netanyahu or whatever his name is. You can find out from an Alik'r prisoner where the warrior's hideout is and put them to the slaughter to save the Redguard woman, or you can tell the Redguard warriors you found the woman, lead her to where the leader is, and kill the leader right there.
You liar! How could you do that to me? You could have warned me you were baiting me into a trap. But you're right. This should scatter the rest of them. I can go back to my life for now. You have my thanks.
Despite being not related to the main quest whatsoever, In My Time of Need is a pretty deep quest and gives each player a relatively different experience. Okay, so now we gotta... In Skyrim Anniversary Edition, once you reach level 5, you get a letter triggering the quest, The Rising Dead. In the letter, somebody is frantically urging you to stop a ritual that's bringing the dead back to life. Once you arrive at the spot, there's just these copy-pasted zombies walking around with a puny mage. The zombies aren't even unique enemies either. They're reskins of Draugr. They have the same voices and everything. After slapping around some zombies, you can pick up this journal to complete the quest, and in the journal it's written how the undead are rising and nothing of this magnitude has ever been seen in Skyrim in years! And after completing this quest, these copy-pasted enemies will just randomly attack you. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but for something as grand in magnitude as the undead coming back to life, you'd think that some people would at least acknowledge it. Because one of the coolest parts in Skyrim is completing faction quests or even side quests and seeing how the world around you reacts to it, whether it's a major environmental change or just some throwaway guard dialogue.
Releasing a captured dragon. I don't think I'll ever understand that one.
Hey, be careful!
It's kind of what makes open world games and exploration worthwhile, because you need reinforcement that your choices and actions actually matter. But with the Anniversary Edition quests, no one seems to care too much. The guards don't talk about it, nobody talks about it, and that's because this $28 upgrade is basically paid mods that Bethesda puts zero effort into naturally trying to integrate into the vanilla Skyrim experience. Another Anniversary Edition quest, which is supposed to celebrate 10 years of Skyrim, by the way, is the taming wild horses objectives. In Red Dead Redemption, a game that came out 1 year before Skyrim, taming a horse is a pretty engaging minigame, getting the player to balance John on horseback by observing his movement and which side he leans towards. So when I see that in a Bethesda-approved $28 upgrade, they added taming wild horse mechanics, I got pretty excited. So first, you need to buy a wild horse map. And by the way, in these quests, because they were tacked on post-development, there is no unique dialogue for them. It will always just be reused voice lines, which is kind of...
Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. It is all in this note.
Unnatural, because everything else in the game is fully voiced. Anyway, if you look at the wild horse note and go to one of the locations, you can sneak up on a horse and keep pressing F on it until it eventually stops bucking you off. So basically, the way taming wild horses works in Skyrim is that you get on it, they'll throw you off, and then you get back on it, and eventually it will just work. I think it's funny too that when the horses buck you off, the typical morbid falling sound effect plays. It's just so dramatic every time you need to rinse and repeat. It's not just the horses upgrade that's a strange addition though. The fishing is even more shameless. Now listen, I love fishing in video games. Ever since Link's arm in the Twilight Princess fishing mechanic blessed my virgin eyes, fishing in video games has always been a simple but fun minigame for me. I mean, hell, Red Dead Online is what got me into fishing in real life. What the f is this? First off, you can't fish anywhere you want. Your fishing rod is a sword, and the only way you can fish is if you go to a designated spot. Once you catch something, it'll kind of just pop up on your screen, and the quests associated with fishing...
Here, I want you to have this. Don't ask, just take it.
I'm just so immersed. I'm so immersed. I'm converting to real Justin for a second. If I was a first-time player going into Skyrim, this kind of quest would make me not want to explore because it gives the impression that Skyrim is an unfinished game.
Of course.
And there's no way to differentiate what is anniversary content and what isn't without looking and memorizing the list of DLC that comes with the package, which obviously nobody is going to take the time and do, because why should they have to? Now, of course, a lot of you guys may be thinking, Justin, I'm sick of your negative attitude, man. All you do is complain, and you just incorporate shitty drawings into your videos to disguise the grift. 1, more content is better, and 2, these additions to the game are done by modders. It's nice to have extra stuff regardless of quality, because more is better than nothing. And to an extent, that is kind of true. When you play a game over and over again, anything will be better than what you've already experienced. In Red Dead 2, I have a ton of mods that remove mechanics and add things, but I would never recommend a first-time player to play the game like that, because it just doesn't make sense and takes away from the game's core design. Skyrim is one of the best-selling adventure games out there, because it has good mod support, but mostly because it has worthwhile exploration. I'm so tired of people saying that vanilla Skyrim isn't any good without mods. I feel like that's just so dismissive of the art piece that Skyrim is, and I'll say that with chest. Skyrim is a fucking amazing game. Taking another quick example of how quests act in vanilla Skyrim though, in the quest Ancestral Worship, you follow this young man into this family's tomb to stop a wizard from performing necromancy. Because this dungeon isn't a traditional Skyrim dungeon, it is this guy's family's graveyard, if you go to loot anything, he gets mad at you.
Hey, those belong to my family.
Fine. Take whatever you want. So long as you help me get rid of Vals.
It's dialogue like this that brings Skyrim to life and makes each quest worth your time, because even though they follow a similar formula, which is a big criticism Skyrim gets, they each try to be different in any way they can. This is why people keep going back to Skyrim, and not games like these newer Assassin's Creed RPGs, which have a bajillion quests and collectibles, but absolutely zero depth. I mean, come on, as much as I love Assassin's Creed Origins, it's definitely a one playthrough kind of game. If a first-time player goes into Skyrim with the Anniversary Edition package, their first impression with the game isn't going to be the little details and immersive value that Skyrim has. It's going to be the watered-down quests and minigames that will taint the overall vision of what Skyrim can be. And unfortunately, the Anniversary Edition of Skyrim is the mainstream physical copy for PS5 and Series X now.
And for Switch 2, it's the only version available.
But if you thought it was just the Aquafina quests and the janky minigames that made the Anniversary Edition of Skyrim an insult to the vanilla game, You know how Skyrim is a game with a leveling system, skill trees, statistics? It really encourages the player to try as hard as they can to get stronger and play more to build up their character's experience. That's kind of the fun of games like Skyrim, RPGs, although there are a lot of people online that are like, Skyrim's not an RPG. Well, the anniversary upgrade seems to have a different point of view. Wait. Why would somebody want to struggle with bosses, work for gold, and get stronger when the end goal is to be the strongest? Here we go, guys. Why don't we just move that to the start of the game so that the player doesn't have to go through all of that hardship? After you leave Helgen, the first 20 minutes of the game, you can run to the city of Windhelm, read a book inside of the Winking Skeever, and go to the new destination that it marks on your map. You can kill a few measly skeletons, and then get the best light armor in the entire game. But mind you, there is also another quest where you can go and speak with an innkeeper about bounty work. They'll direct you towards the Crowtooth camp. Once you clear it out, you will be tasked to go to this ruin where you fight a dragon, some Draugr, and Forsworn. But even if you want to skip all that fun stuff, you totally can. And once you run to the top of this tower, you can obtain the best heavy armor in the game. Both of these things can be done within an hour after leaving the tutorial. Even today, when I was playing for the sake of this video's gameplay footage, I started a quest given to me by a bartender, which directed me towards a group of bandits that I was heroically inclined to kill. Standard Skyrim activity. Typically, these sorts of missions give you a few hundred gold, and if you're lucky, maybe an enchanted mid-tier weapon. Well, after getting the quest item and delivering it to the person marked on my map, I was kindly handed a full set of Daedric armor. Hello? I saw a great point brought up by Sostratus on Reddit. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I hope that was close. Defending this aspect of the Anniversary Edition, saying that a lot of people complain it ruins the game since you get endgame armor so early, but at level 1, it's hardly any more durable than the early game armor sets before you level up your skill trees. Again, I think this is a valid argument. However, I still think it takes away from Skyrim's core experience. The player will never have to swap outfits and choose between one item over another, since they will always have the strongest one. I adore how in the Senile Scribbles, a relic of Skyrim content on the internet, the main character gets better armor every entry in the series, which reflects Skyrim's actual gameplay. So much of the fun comes from trying out new sets of armor and being able to go, damn, my character looks good, and then damn, my character looks good, and then damn, my character looks. But when you have the best, most amazing suit of bone from the second you leave Helgen, it just makes the game less thrilling because you have everything handed to you from the get-go. The thing is, Skyrim's story is great, Skyrim's exploration is even better, but the game just isn't deep enough, in my opinion, to stand on those two things alone. Reward needs to be sprinkled in there for the player to want to engage more with the game, and it's not just weapons and armor. In Skyrim's DLC Hearthfire that was released in 2013, players got the ability to build their own house in a few select locations. Building a house all the way through was a big commitment. You needed to gather the materials, have the funds, it was a process, but finally acquiring that dream mansion made it all worth it. In Anniversary Edition, the houses that players can buy, at pretty cheap prices by the way, are fully decked out with armor stands, alchemy tables, horse stables. There's this quest at around level 10 where you get a letter from somebody who wants to fight you to the death, and if you beat her, you get her massive estate. Unsurprisingly, she is very easy to defeat, and then you just go into this enormous house with everything you could ever possibly need for no charge, risk, or effort whatsoever. And by the way, for getting an opportunity of this magnitude out of nowhere, you'd expect a bit of significant dialogue, right?
I understand. Fight or die well.
The thing is, these new properties having all the upgrades and quirks of high-end real estate in Skyrim at a super low price or no price at all gives the player no reason to even try making their own house or buying one of the vanilla ones. It's just another aspect of Skyrim's Anniversary upgrade that throws the exploration and progression system right out the window in the name of giving the player everything they could possibly dream for as early as possible. However, through all of the silence, the sludge, the slop, there are a few hidden gems within the Skyrim Anniversary Edition package, but to access that content, you need to have all the other mods enabled. Why? Why is Skyrim Survival Mode a blessing on Skyrim that enhances everything about the game by forcing the player to engage with their environment, actually pay attention to how much they're carrying, how much they're eating, how well they're preparing for the cold, how many hours of sleep they can muster, how they're going to adventure place to place effectively while sustaining resources? God, it's a crime among men and women, and especially non-binary people, that this feature is locked behind 1 trillion waves of developer neglect. A direct example to show what I mean by survival mode forces the player to interact with the environment was when a Stormcloak soldier came to arrest me for stealing some food. In a normal playthrough, I would just pay the fine and fast travel back to where I was, but because fast travel is disabled in survival mode, and I had already trekked so far from town, I was not trying to make that trip again. So for the first time in probably 5 years, I resisted arrest and dealt with the consequences. As a whole though, I know that this upgrade is just a bunch of mods from Bethesda's mod store, the Creation Club, all packed into one bundle and thrown at the game. All of it is made by the community and some Bethesda developers, but in my opinion, that's no excuse for marketing it as this decades worth of content DLC. If I came home from a long day in the mines, I'm on my couch, I have to wake up at 5 a.m., my wife hates me and is asleep, I just want to play this new video game I've been hearing about for 14 years, and the first quest I get has no dialogue whatsoever, no concrete story with tension, attention to detail, soul, nothing! Dude, I'd be so mad, dude! I hate you! I hate you! I hate— So taking into consideration all of the additions that Skyrim Anniversary Edition brings to the table, what makes it the worst DLC in gaming? That's a pretty big statement to make. I mean, video games like Azura's Wrath exist that charge a price to get the true ending. Oblivion's Horse Armor DLC from 2006, despite being super cheap, changed microtransactions in the gaming industry forever by normalizing paywalls behind content. But Skyrim Anniversary Edition is just— let me put it like this. The Mona Lisa is a beautiful painting. Guy who painted it comes to you and is like, I can make it bigger for you. You say, awesome. And then he comes back with this. The Anniversary Edition gives the player a collection of out-of-place, uninspired quests, mechanics, and rewards that ultimately hurt the game in its entirety. At least with the true ending DLC for Azura's Wrath, you actually get something fully new. But with the Anniversary upgrade, it's mostly just reused assets, which makes it completely stand out and drown in comparison. And even if you do want to enjoy the fruits of the slop tree, the corn and the turd, you will still have to leave all of the other mods enabled. Now this whole video, I've been speaking from the perspective of what would a first-time player think? But as a long-time player, Skyrim's mod community is so enormous, and they have contributed a lot to the magic of the game, and have made mods completely free that enhance the experience, sometimes in remarkably impressive and immersive ways. Skyrim VR with mods, specifically the virtual body avatar mod that adds actual weapon holsters, the Higgs physics interaction mod, the immersive pull chains mod, the mod that lets you kill Nazim. Again, the paid mods versus the free ones are night and heaven, and the Anniversary Edition could have and should have been way more ambitious and not relied on the community to add content to an iconic single-player video game. Ray tracing would have been nice. I mean, they did it with GTA 5 and The Witcher 3, it's a game changer. I know it doesn't look too different on video, but in gameplay, it's slick as hell. But what do you guys think about the Anniversary Edition? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it the worst DLC in gaming? Let me know in the comments below and I'll check them out as soon as I possibly can. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video, and make sure to have a good one. I know I won't. All around me is Skyrim. 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 All around me is Skyrim. 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 I think it's kind of sussy. I've played it 90 times, but selling mods for money as an upgrade is a Skyrim. As 2021. Skyrim.
Of course.